What awesome sauce science do you have for us today, Arlene? I really should change my name to Arlene and Company Does Science. It has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? Maybe. Today I'm going to do a complete walkthrough and overview of OpenSciEd. I know that I mentioned this first probably a year ago, and I have not bring you a walkthrough or review or flip through any kind in that time. I wholeheartedly believe in taking my time, especially when a resource is new to me, to fully dive in, and as one of my IG friends says recently, to go past the honeymoon period and actually have that time as the educator to learn the process, learn the curricula, how to adapt it, and also from the student's point of view. So today we're going to dive into especially the middle grades, which is fully available from grades 6 through 8. High school has started to roll out as well, with the first units now available, and elementary is planned out for the future. So stick with me, grab a snack, probably a meal. This is gonna be a long one.
And see that I'm the type of girl you're not really that used to.
Welcome back, friends. If you're brand new to my channel, my name is Arlene with Arlene and Company. As I said, today we're going to go on a complete overview of OpenSciEd, and that is going to start with grades 6 through 8. That is fully available with all the units. You're going to be able to look at the scope and sequence so you can see the build up from unit to unit and from year to year, and also going to do an overview of the high school units that are currently available as of last month, and that will continue to develop until it's fully released next year. But there is some that you can start. And when you look at how many units they are, you may think, oh, that's not going to last me all year, but each unit takes quite a bit of time. I'm going to do a few housekeeping about the program itself and the adaptation and the learning curve around it, because I think it's very, very important before you dive into any traditional curricula. Before I flip the camera around and show you everything there is inside. Not everything, because you can be digging into this. The usability has been rated all green in the AD reports. For NGSS Align, it's also been rated all green. I think it's the only science curricula right now that is rated all green, which is pretty impressive. And the AD reports is actually rated by educators. So it's, people that are closest to the classroom is what is doing it. So when schools adapt a new curricula, for the exception of some schools, obviously, you receive education and training on that new curricula from the brand. So there's a representative from the brand, especially also with OpenSciEd. So they're not just like, here, have fun. So I'm mentioning this because even educators that is their training, that is their experience, being able to adapt new curriculas and teach it. They've received training on these new curriculas. So everything I've mentioned so far, they receive training. So OpenSciEd, Savas, and things like that. There's that ongoing support too, where, some are better than others. Some are better than others, as I've heard feedback of being able to call up and say, hey, I'm stuck, or how do I do this, or just general things. So knowing that teachers receive education and training on how to adapt curricula, that means that please, if you feel after this review and after this overview, wow, this is something I really feel that we can adapt to our family, please take the time, at least at minimum a month, to learn about this. Do the actual teacher handbook, do the educational pieces, do the teacher side, fully learn the process and the whys behind it. And I'm not saying fully like, you're going to be a veteran, but fully understand it before you crack open the first lesson. Trust me on this, it will make a difference. And even when you do that, it doesn't guarantee it's going to be successful for you. But if a traditional resources is on your light, just know teachers receive training on this, which means you should take some time to learn it too. All right. So one of the first things I would recommend is to open the teacher handbook, because there's quite a bit of information in here of breaking down the how, the why, and everything in between. It's not telling you this is how you have to say it, but it's giving you feedback on why this was created this way and the scientific background or development background behind it. And that is, to me, is very important to go over. Is NGSS Align. Why do I care about this? A lot of homeschoolers hear anything that's like, oh, are you saying that's standard based? Why do we care about that? To me, I understand NGSS and standard as, those are two different animals, or can be. But NGSS Align, to me, has as someone with a science degree, has the background that instrumental for teaching science, especially in the upper levels. So to me, it's important, especially starting in middle school, that I'm using at least one resource in our mix that is NGSS Align. All right, so if you want to look up more of what that really means, that you can find numerous information on it and videos, explanations, and stuff like that. You can create a free account. And once you create that free account, you will have access to all the lessons and being able to download. With an anchoring phenomenon, so the students are able to ask questions relating to the topic that is going to be presented, and they're able to go ahead and investigate their own questions and answer those before they're just reading off like textbook framework. And I say that lightly because I find value in reading a textbook as well and adapting it to hands-on elements. Find value in both, which is why we mix curricula. That's me. This is purely able to be a standalone. Do not feel like you need to add anything else to it. You do not. You do not need to be me. You do not need all the stuff. I like all the stuff, all the science pretty stuff. An anchoring phenomenon, just as like Sabbath opens with a quest. So you get the students engaged in something that's hands-on and concrete and able to critically think of the question and how they're going to be able to adapt it as you go into the lessons and make the observations and go into the labs just for human error and things like that and dive in deeper. Let's turn around the camera and let's take a deep dive inside.
Okay, so we now arrive to the website, and that's OpenSciEd.org, and you will find this linked in the description box below. There is also visual guides to learning. I had mentioned the teach and guide and everything like that, but there's also webinars that you can do, which will mimic a little bit of what the teachers get in the school settings. This is going to be available in elementary stage as well. You can look at the development timeline for that. It is going to be available in the future. The elementary stage is not currently available. We're going to be focusing on middle school and high school. High school just started rolling out. Middle school is fully available, and middle school meaning grades 6 through 8. So you're going to be able to see that under the curriculum. You're going to create an account, and the account that you create is going to be free, and then this is going to give you access to everything. So obviously I'm already logged in. I'm all in the happy places. There is multiple buttons here that you're going to be able to look, like getting started and adapting it. OpenSciEd Classroom, and if you want to look at videos of, like in action and things like that. The request presentation and stuff, that's not going to pertain to you. Throughout this video, I'm going to also show you where you're going to get a lot of what you're seeing here, like the phenomenon video library and all that such. The teacher resources also can be found from this window as well, but you're going to see that you're going to be linked through all this in multiple places. In the teacher resource, we're going to go ahead and look at the middle school teacher handbook in just a second, but just so you can see there's just extra tools and any supplemental materials that you want to go ahead and look. But if you go ahead and download the middle school teacher handbook, this is where I recommend, especially if you're starting the middle school stage, to start here. Okay, so you can start here. You could also start with the webinars that attaches and basically has that visual element for you, so you can see like an instructor or somebody from OpenSciEd explain it to you and explain each part of the program alongside with you, show you details and stuff. And all those webinars and stuff are available there free for you. So this is an open educational resource, which means it's going to be available for you to adapt, put it in Google Classroom, make edits and all that jazz, just so you can get a nice little view of the content. So you're going to see like the science storylines. This is how it's organized. So you're going to be able to see a nice little preview to each unit with the storylines. And we're going to get into that in just a bit. But you're going to see the role of the phenomenon. Remember that we have an anchoring phenomenon. You're going to have a starting question for the entire unit, and then questions that you're going to dive into for each individual thing as well. So this is going to also break down each of the elements and the way it's taught, presented, the why, the how, and then giving you ideas and support throughout. This is a lot of content for you. Don't feel overwhelmed by the amount of content and make it think like, oh, okay, this is going to be so hard to adapt because there's so many different pieces that I have to read over or anything like that. Because frankly, for me, especially let's say you're not a science person, you're not me, you're not a science heavy person, you're not someone that has a science background like I do or any of that. This to me is a really great hand-holding curricula because it really has a lot of elements that teaches you, the teacher, and supports you, the teacher, and gives you a script if you want to follow it as a script, and then gives you leadway for each and everything. Like even the experiments are explained to you in a way like you don't know. You know, it doesn't assume that you know. It explains it to you. You're going to see some teacher videos as well. And this is all going to be broken down in this teacher handbook that you see. And there's going to be videos for you and then videos for your students. So that would be part of your prep. So you have, again, developing and using science and engineering practices, classroom culture norms. That's probably not going to pertain to you unless you're doing some kind of co-op or something like this with that. And, you know, supporting discussion, initial ideas, and on and on. As we scroll a little bit past this, you're going to see, again, the science storylines and how to organize these units. You're also going to be exposed to the scope and sequence, so you can go ahead and view those things. And we're going to go into specifics with the scope and sequence of what is included with each grade, so hang out with me. All right, so you're going to, as you can see, it's, you know, what is the role? What are you doing with this? The why, and then it fully explains those sections. Let's skip through this for a little bit. In this guide, you're also going to see each element explained to you. So the phenomena base, and then it's going to have the description, like driven by students' questions and ideas. What does that mean? Or what does that mean to you? What does it mean to your students? Driven by evidence, collaborative, equitable, and so on. So it's going to break this down in a nice little format that, you know, will make it easy for you to understand. And then it's also going to break down the lessons for you of how it's organized and how to navigate each of the different pieces. So you're going to have some maps as well, and let's take a look at some of that. Of course, we're viewing this in a sideways view kind of right now, but as you can see, this is the flow of each of the units that you're going to be going through. So once you get like used to this flow and how you navigate each unit, it just becomes like second nature. Honestly, it really does. Even if, again, if science is not your thing. But again, if you're not for that very traditional type of based curricula, and to me, this is not like the traditional type of curricula that you grew up with. These poses things, I'm going to explain a little bit about that when we talk about a specific unit. So when we're asking like specific questions, and you would see like how they do these in the classroom, and each kid puts a response, and if it's just you and your child or whatever, you can just go ahead and still do the same elements and see how many ideas you came up together. Anyways, so with this, it's not really the type of traditional curricula that we grew up with, because you grew up with reading from a textbook and then some hands-on component depending on the teacher of how much hands-on they wanted to do. And again, I find a lot of value in textbook reading as well. But again, this is not the traditional that we grew up with. So don't let that word traditional deter you, but also this is not for everyone. It's not going to be. All right, so we have the other additional tools that you can go ahead and navigate as well. But we are going to go ahead and go into the middle school science, and we're going to go into explore the curriculum. As you see, this is the same window that we were in before, and we're going to preview a unit. So on here, we have grade 6, grade 7, and grade 8 units. Right now, you'll see that I'm in grade 6 units, but I am going to show you first the scope and sequence so you can get familiar of what is included. So right now we're in the middle school scope and sequence. There's also one for high school, and we'll take a look at that in just a bit. But just so you can see, and you see 6.1, 6.2, that means like the first unit, the second one, the third. There is instructions if you want to go out of order of how to adapt that and how to go about that. But let's go over for grade 6, you have, obviously this is an interdisciplinary approach. So you have multiple modalities of science included in each grade. And then when you go into high school, it's going to go back into that focus of what you're probably used to with homeschool curricula that focuses on one type of science, like physics all year or physics for one semester. But instead of doing that, in the traditional sense, you have that interdisciplinary approach, which I appreciate. So light and matter, thermal energy, weather and climate and water cycling, plate tectonics, and so on. You can see here from the screen. And then on grade 7, you start again with chemical reactions. chemical reactions and energy, metabolic reactions, matter cycling, ecosystem and dynamics and biodiversity, earth resource and human impact. And then you're going to flow into grade 8, where you're going to focus more on starting on contact forces. Is actually a really, really fun unit. With the contact forces, it's like, I think this one is the one that you get to like try to crash phones and stuff. So it's fun. Anyways, and there you go on, with genetics and natural selection and common ancestries and such, and continue on from there. This is easily available for you to look at and reference and download for yourself, and also what standards are going to be covered with each of these units. So it seems like it's not a lot of them, but trust me, it is. So let's go into high school scope and sequence, just so you can see briefly. You have biology and earth and space and science, chemistry and earth and space and science, physics and earth and space and science. And then you end up all the way through the Big Bang. Again, this is a secular, obviously, resource. Again, you can really explore each one of these topics for yourself and dive a little bit deeper. I'm not going to read each and every single one of them, or we're going to be here all day. And as much as I love hanging out with you, we're not going to do that. Okay, we're back at the summary page, and you're going to see that there's two tabs. There's a student tab, and there's video tabs. Okay, this is the material list that I was talking about, right? This is for Unit 7.1, Kit Material List. The way it's divided is pretty rad. So you have the items on the left is going to tell you what lesson you're going to need it. It's going to tell you what category. Is it permanent? Is it a consumable? Is it a locally sourced? It's going to break it down. And then the links to it is pretty rad. And it's going to tell you the description, what you're looking at. And then the links, if you're obviously sourcing them yourself, like Amazon, Target, like just simple places that you can just find things. And as you can see there, this stuff is not like rare. But if you're like questioning, like, okay, can I really do this? Because I'm going to have to, the units and everything are free, but the materials are not. You're going to have to get them yourself. You can take a look at the material list, get a feel for it, and say, okay, this is doable, or this is totally not. But as you can see, like, cornstarch, cotton balls, it's just, obviously you're going to like some beacons and a scale. Like I said before, you guys know I'm fully loaded with science lab supplies. That's how we do. But you can see a full preview of this. They do have like ways to source their kits, but that's not really available to homeschoolers at this moment. On the other side of it, you're going to see student videos. Don't worry about having to go back to the Union Summary to source this and go back to a certain page to link it. It's going to be in your teacher edition. The link is going to be right there. You don't have to worry about going any other place or remembering where you're supposed to find it. The link is going to be within your document if you're following the document or the PDF file from one step to the other. So again, you have the student videos. You're just going to go ahead and repeat the experiment, but for the student view, and let's just look at that real quick. On the student videos, a lot of them don't have a lot of audio or anything like that, or instructional things. It's meant for you're leading the lesson, or they're following through, and they're gonna just show them what the visual representation of what it should be looking like and what they should be doing, or what they're looking for, or the question, and going from there. So a lot of your visual learners and a lot of people reading the labs are like, okay, but what do you mean? What am I doing exactly? What's you can't really picture it. This really helps, and sometimes they're just a minute, or the teacher ones are going to be a little bit longer because they're prep ones. Anyway, so you have the unit examples on here. So if you just want to get a brief idea of this unit, you can go ahead and click on the unit examples or the lessons and just get a brief idea of how, of what is being covered. Then you have additional information and all that. Just this little area probably does not pertain to you unless those areas matter. So a lot of these can be just more for classroom setting, some unit information and acknowledgement as such. But let's go ahead and actually click the file. Let's download the baby. When you first open it, it's going to give you an option to open it by lessons or by lesson type. So I go ahead and put materials by lesson. That makes more sense to me. You're going to have a crap load, I'm not gonna lie. It's gonna look like a whole bunch of freaking files, and you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, Arlene, what did you get me into?
breathe, it's okay. First of all, I need to look at icons. I can look at stuff as links because that makes no sense to me. My ADHD brain cannot handle it. So let's go ahead and look at by icons. You're gonna see that it's gonna be broken out by lesson. You're gonna have some extra handouts. No, these handouts are included in your other documents as well if you choose to open the student version. Right here, we're opening the overview of the materials. I find this super helpful to have this overview for planning purposes, especially. But it will have the storyline in there for that we went over initially. So we're gonna pass by all that. I have the scope and sequence. I have all that as well. So this is like the unit overview, all the pieces put together into one file for you and summarized like Cliff Notes, not really, it doesn't have the same structure, but you know what I mean? It looks like Cliff Notes. It's your cheat sheet. How will I need to modify if the units are out of order? That information is right in there for you, and it's also in your unit summary page on the website. So if you choose to do things out of order, you can. There's also these other available links for here. If you feel like I want to educate myself more, I want to know more about this, I want to understand what I'm teaching, why it works the way it works, because this is not my forte. Or maybe you are a nerd like me and you are in a career that you have to do continuing education credits just like I do, and you just enjoy to continue to do that. Actually, I'm doing CUs right now, so that's fun. Not really. I don't enjoy most of my CUs. Well, some of them. I try to pick ones that I love. But anyways, you can continue to do with all those links that are provided there and continue to educate yourself. So guidance for developing the word wall. It has all kinds of information in there, and this is like a complete unit overview, right? So you have all the cheat sheets broken down by lessons, broken down by sections, broken down by the different elements in the group, in the curricula, all is there for you. So you have an assessment system overview. So if you need to hand out grades or to do grades for whatever X, Y, and Z reason, that is there for you as well. And it gives you a cheat sheet for that. You have the lesson level and performance expectations, like what should I even be expecting of my student for this? That is all broken down as well per lesson for you in this overview. All right, good times. Let's go back to the files. You're going to see that some of the files are going to be duplicated, and you're going to have some Spanish ones. So, hey, if you're doing some bilingual science or you need it for whatever reason, maybe you're doing a co-op or something, that is in there. There's some extra files in here, like communicating in scientific ways. It's just like helpful little things. There's going to be some separate files for like handouts, but know that that is also included in your student version. It's already in there. But if you just need to open it as its own separate file, you can do that. As well. This is the kit materials for the entire 6th, 7th, and 8th grade unit that you can go ahead and open and access from your files as well without even going into the website, but then it will take you to the website. You're looking for your teacher edition for the specific unit, but you have the middle school program overview as well that I will show you. This is different, but again, this is specific to the middle school area. So you can have an overview for your unit, an overview on just OpenSciEd, and this is the middle school component. So you have again, some of the information is going to be repeat, but there is additional information that you're going to see here. So there's that map that we were showing you sideways before, but like built in, engage, inspire, and empower. And you can go ahead and visit this as an overview to middle school science. Maybe you're going into middle school science in 6th grade, and here you can see all the units all together. And then also, this is pretty rad. This is focal science and engineering practices by unit, and it will tell you which unit touches on what. And it will be like it's met, not the focus, and so on. And you can see a highlight of that. Maybe you are trying to see developed key use or not a focus. Maybe you are trying to focus on a specific skill or something that they're lacking or something that they excel on, and you can look at that specific unit. And again, there is adaptions if you're going out of order. It does build on itself, so know that it does build. So you're going to have to review certain concepts if you go out of order. Again, this is divided by lesson sets, with the expectation that you're having like a 45-minute class. Again, take timings with a grain of salt, because this is not us adapting it as a classroom, but as homeschoolers. You're gonna have the unit overview as a teacher to look at, elements of the NGSS and the student edition. These are the files that we're gonna be opening.
All right, so here you'll see that each lesson, what it includes. It has the lesson level teacher edition, slideshow if you want to use it, teacher references, readings, handouts, student references, assessments and keys, simulation and data interactive and story maps, and then the videos. Remember, the video links are included within your teacher edition. However, there is a separate files as well to access them outside of that. Here is a pretty rad place. So even if you don't reread all the other top part, go into the lesson overview here. It's going to teach you how to read your lesson plans, especially if this is a new format for you. If you've never seen something like this, if you've never seen, a resource that is built for a classroom, a lot of this is very similar if you're used to using a traditional resource. But if this is not, this is great to read this map of what you're looking at. I see this also like in our Savas resource, in which, we've been using for a while now, and it will teach the kiddos and do activities like, okay, now find pages, find me this in another lesson. And it's just all about teaching them how to navigate the page. So you have that here for you. Obviously, there's no activities to go find stuff just for fun and, and a scavenger hunt in your textbook. But it's there for you to help you navigate and learn what each section means and what you are looking for on each and every page. So I think these pages right here are super helpful. If anything else, if you feel overwhelmed about reading too many things at first and you want to read the intros, read the teacher guide, and then go into your first unit, okay, but look at this first if you're not familiar with it, because it'll help you understand the layout of the page, because that's exactly what is going to look at with every single lesson, right? All right. Teacher handbook can be found within your whole unit lessons too. We're going to go ahead and hit 7.1 and look at all the files in here so you can see what you're looking for, either the teacher edition, and it's broken up by each and different section. You have extra materials here, extra handout, and here is lesson 1, what happens when a bath bomb is added to water. Now, if you remember the structure that we saw in the program overview for the middle school overview, and it broke every single little section down for you. So any previous lessons is going to start like that. Okay, what should they know before you go into this lesson? Nothing. This is the first lesson in 7th grade. You don't need to know nothing. No, not really. There is some concepts here that you should know beforehand from the previous grade, and that is also addressed. But then also gives you a preview to the next lesson, like, okay, what's going to happen and what is going to be built upon from what you see here on this lesson. Then on here is going to have lesson 1, and then this is the end. If you see on the right little corner, it's going to say end of day 1, and it's going to tell you broken up by what slide you're using and the duration. 7 minutes, again, take the time with a grain of salt, and what the summary is going to be. These are not your detailed full day lesson. This is just your overview, okay? Materials preparation, plus any handouts that you need to have ready, any education and stuff like that for you as the educator. And I'll show you what the teacher, the student side of it, because it's not going to have all these words. Remember this video right there? I found it right in my teacher guide. I was able to find the link right where it pertained and right where I was going to need it. So that link was right there. It tells you, okay, now you're going to do this video, or here's the prep for the video. So that was the prep for you. And then it's going to show you the link when you're going to show it to the student. So here we have lesson 1, where are we going? And then it's going to have basically a script, but you don't have to follow it as a script. So a learning plan, then it has the icon for the science notebook, so what you're going to be asking them to document and to note to their observations, their testings, and things like that. And it's going to break down that element, so it's not going to be just an open-ended write what you learn or anything like that, especially if that doesn't work for you and you need more of a guidance. It's going to have that broken down and give you some examples, what you're noticing, what are your observations, and what you're looking for your student to be writing down. Again, then observe, the report patterns and things like that. And then everything is just going to be broken down and step by step for you. With the picture diagrams. And then here again, anytime there's a link for you to do the lessons, you're going to have that as well. So this is all again end of day 1 for you, and all that is it's like compressed. If in case you want to print this stuff and not view it online, then you're not like wasting a ton of page. So that's end of day 2. Again, this continues to develop into the initial question. And know that one thing I will say is that these units can be pretty long. Okay, they can be pretty long. So feel free, if this is something that you adapt. Oh, the wall. Let me tell you about the wall. So this is like in a classroom, right? And they ask one of those essential questions. And I say essential questions because I'm used to using SAVAs, and they call it essential questions with the quest. But here's like the anchoring question, or the anchoring phenomenon. And then they, all the responses, like it's really cool to do this activity and then continuously like paste it on a wall or anything, and then see how many ideas and things that comes up, right? And even if you're just doing it with you and another student, you and your 2 kids like me, or you and like 10 of your kids, whatever it may be, it's really fun to see collaboratively what you came up with, and then you can test it and then see your observations and all that jazz. Then you can have any additional lesson teacher guidance that you may need on there, and go from there. So now going back to the files, just to open a few more files so you can see, here's some slides, and this can help guide you. So you can have like the little print, call it, of the lesson plans beside you as guidance, and then you can help, the slideshow can help guide your lessons. This is Spanish. Wrong one. I can read it though. So here with your student, this would be in their student handbook, but here you can have it like as a separate file, which makes it easy if you just need to print extra copies and you don't want to like have to open or find the specific page. But you can see it says planning and investigation with your group, in your notebook with your class, which would be the same like your sibling or your parent. Modeling what happens to the bath bomb in your notebook, what you're going to do, and then it just like goes step by step with them, but in a more concise way. So this is what your student would see, like that's basically like the textbook that you're looking on, because remember, this is like a collaborative thing, and there's going to be like suggestions for readers and stuff like that as well. But this is like the ultimate of hands-on. You're doing and actually doing the practice of actually doing science to learn. Here you have initial model-based explanation that you can use to break that down. So again, this is all included in the student version in one book, but you can have it as a separate file, especially if you're dealing with multiple kids and you just need to print an extra of a certain sheet. You can do that, or just use it digitally. The cool thing about an open educational resource is that they make it easy for you to edit and add your own thing, but make sure that you look at the guidelines of use too, because you don't want to do something wrong. Here I want to go ahead and look at another lesson for you. So that continues on, and you can see the different for the entire unit, and you have self-evaluation if that is something that you want to include, so your child can determine what they feel like they're doing good at, or that they need to work on, and maybe you can use it as your own guidance of what you would like to do as well. All right, so if you go back to your website, to the website under the unit, you can go ahead and click download the student edition. So this is your student edition. You saw all these sheets before, plus, like some big bold questions and things like that, and the student procedures per lesson, all broken up. So this is like the text that your kiddos would get, whether you send it to them through your Google Classroom, if that's something you do, send them the link to it to use digitally, or to go ahead and print it, whatever is your vibe. Then you can go ahead and have all this broken down for them for per lesson, asking them those point questions that they can reference as they are working with you. And again, it's that more simplistic go ahead look than looking at other individual sheet. So this is what you would print for your kiddo, or not necessarily print. You can go ahead and use digitally. So this is the student edition of this particular unit, and you can see like helium gas from the
All right, we've gone over a lot. Let's look at high school real quick. What is currently available? So high school is currently in under development, but the first units from each subjects are already out. So you can see the timeline of this. So fall, the next unit's going to come out, then summer, then winter. So they should be done by early 2024 with the completed. This is I'm in bio, right? Yes. And that's going to follow a similar timeline, a little bit pushback with the chemistry. So the chemistry, the first unit is out. And then the next one will come out in fall, then winter, or then that one's going to be done like summer of 2024. Then the last unit, or, the way that they divide is physics. And the first unit is now available. And then the next one will continue, and it will be completely out in next summer. So now you can, this is just happened. Like I went ahead and added this portion to this video and re-edited my intro just so I can briefly talk to you about the high school level. Again, you have that similar format. So if you're already used to with the middle school, you're on par with a high school. So you have the teacher video led videos as well to go ahead and help you with the prep. You have the kit materials just the same. You have the unit summary and the unit storyline as well. Like this particular one has like a specific task that you need your kiddos to do as they're collecting data and plotting then and things like that, and it teaches them like step by step how to do that. So again, you don't feel alone. There's a lot of like hand holding to help them do these higher level skills. And especially if you're not sure and you're a homeschooler that takes it year by year, we're a long time. Like, this is what we're doing. But if that's like, if you're unsure, it's great to be able to use something that, it's already being used in schools, because then your kiddo can transition a little bit easier. What is with this pop up? Anyway, so this is like this particular video, endangered oceans with manatees and stuff like that. So to go with this bio unit, which, listen, we are actually going to be doing high school science next year with my daughter with environmental science. So there's just going to be some correlations that I'm going to be pulling in from OpenSciEd. Why do I use multiple ones? Listen, this is who I am as a person. You cannot change me. But anyways, it's a-okay. Let's look at the materials just really quick, because it looks a little bit different the way that they set it up, but it's really so user friendly. It's so pretty cool. And you can know like, okay, is this something I'm going to need forever and ever? Is this a classroom equipment, as they put it, and the unit, whatever you need, and then go from there. So that's pretty rad. You can look at it ahead of time and see if that's going to be feasible for you, because that's basically going to be your only cost is the lab equipment for this curricula. Why is this taking so long to load? Let's go. All right, so here the unit storyline for this first one in bio. This is lesson 1. You're going to see, it's just very expanded. There's going to be obviously a greater amount of depth, but just the similar format. It's just the content is going to be different. But so once you're like, if you're used to middle school, you're cool. I'm not sure how elementary is going to look, so that will be interesting to look at. But obviously, that will be long gone from our stage. Whew, we're glad. Anyways, but those of you that are still in the grind of elementary, or you still have a ways to go, keep an eye out, because they're going to come out with elementary. So that's pretty rad. Anyway, so here is just the storyline for this. And this is just, again, that summary of that unit summary to give you a snapshot, cliff notes, as I put it. All right, so we're still in the first bio unit, ecosystems and interactions dynamics. And you can, right now, they don't have the PDF download ability yet. They have like via your Google Drive or whatever jazz and stuff like that. So we're gonna just pick that and take a look at that. Obviously, you can set up a Google Drive for free and all that jazz, but I'm interested to see if they're gonna add that ability to do like the print PDF version, like that quick way without going to Drive. I know people like just heavily rely on Google Drive. I kind of don't. Anyway, so you have the same storyline at the beginning, and you can see the same structure with the lessons, but a lot more depth and more information that is being expected. Here you can see like an overview with the scope for each area with biochemistry and physics. And I'd be interested in seeing if they decide to add or other courses in the future. That'd be really fun and interesting, but
I'm not complaining. That's pretty cool. Anyway, so the lessons are structured basically the same way. This is just your unit overview of materials, just as I showed you with middle school. So I'm just scrolling on by really quick. Okay, you can download it and just play with it yourself and see what you want to look at. The purpose of this video is not showing you like every nitty gritty, but to help you understand the format and the flow and to go from there. Here's just an extra, concepts and things like that and how it cross-correlates with each one. I went ahead and picked on a random lesson, so we're on lesson 4. In this lesson, you'll have that, again, a little bit more like expanded view. It looks a little bit cleaner than middle school, which I appreciate. A little less condensed, and again, my ADHD brain appreciates when it's a little bit more spaced out. But again, it is what it is, and I am appreciative of what they have offered and the panel of experts that have created this. And it really is rich in a lot of the feedback, which is fun because when you talk to educators and go on forums and stuff like that, and you get the feedback. My husband works in education. There's always a lot of mixed reviews with most curriculums. SAVA's included, HMA, all of them. HMH. Is that what I said? Anyways, all of them. There's mixed reviews. People that hate it, people that love it, people like, ride or die, people that are like, hey, it's okay, in the middle, whatever. There's always just a vast amount of mixed review. I'm just going to scroll on by here and you can see this is cool. Some of the videos are already embedded into the slideshows on this particular lesson. So that's cool. I like how you can see the growth and stuff as they're continuing to develop and grow. Anyway, so there's a lot of mixed reviews with a lot of curricula. And when I've done the research and the homework, it's been like, okay, there's so many mixed reviews that I basically have to make up my own mind, which I do anyways, regardless. But OpenSciEd has an overwhelmingly positive response. And that's saying a lot from like classroom teachers and stuff like that, because there's a lot of like mixed reviews with everything. So the fact that basically at least I would say 98% of responses from OpenSciEd that have actually in practice has been overwhelmingly positive. Right now, I'm in OpenSciEd's YouTube page. If you are navigating the page, doing something else and you're not into your units, know that each one is set up in their own playlist by the grade. So you can see the student-facing videos. These are for your students. Then you can see the teacher-facing videos. These are for you. That is for your prep. Okay, maybe in homeschool, because sometimes we're learning alongside of our kiddos, maybe, just maybe, you want to go ahead and do the teacher one at the same time and then listen to the full explanation both together. And that's something we're at to do as well. But you're going to be able to see, why am I having so many pop-ups? Okay, stop it. Anyways, you can see now we're in 7th grade, now we're in 8th grade, and then you go into your high school ones and such. But that is super helpful that you don't have to okay, I have to go into my file, I have to access this, then to click the link. You can go straight to YouTube, go into OpenSciEd's YouTube page, look at the playlist, preview videos if you want to, whatever you need to do. I know I'm throwing a lot at you. You can still go into the frequently asked questions page and listen straight from them. A lot of details, questions that you may have still follow up with you. And they have amazing amount of stuff in there. This is the brand guidelines I was talking about. So if you're using the editing part of it and then you're sharing about it, make sure you pay attention to that, all right? You don't want to get in trouble. At the beginning of the video, I mentioned webinars, and this is where you would find it. So again, if you are looking for that interactive visual approach of learning about this and them taking you through their guide, then this is for you, okay? This will give you one of their instructions. It kind of mimics of what the teacher learning process was in a classroom environment of the education that they get. For example, this is one of their webinars. This is for 6.1, so grade 1. So especially if this is your first year into middle school, you can go ahead and go into this and you can see, a little person there that is their rep or one of their educators and such, and they are walking you through every single element per unit, everything that you need. So again, there is a lot of hand holding on this. If this is an avenue you want to take, maybe you are in a strict budget, but you want to make sure your child has a very rich science education, this is something that I really do feel that has been very valuable in our mix.
Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I know this was a monster of a review. There was a lot of content to really dive into and digest, and to try to give you as a complete picture as I can. But realistically, it's impossible for me to show you every single element or to expose you to all the different avenues you can take. But I hope that this helps the right family for the right fit for a curricula like this, and that it opens just another possibility for you. Or maybe you just know a friend, and go ahead and share this video if you found it helpful, or that can be helpful for someone else. I greatly appreciate your support. My next video, I will be diving back into Savas in the 5th grade. And then I'm going to explore one of the elements that I was missing with grade 7, which was my platform was set up as an admin versus a teacher platform. And the teacher platform, as you can see, is vastly different, user-friendly. But again, it takes time still to learn it. And there's just a lot of richness that I really appreciate from Elevate Science. So I want to dive into that as well. You do not need both. This may be the perfect match for you. Maybe not at all. Maybe something like Oak Meadow that's more like inquiry-based in research and pushes those boundaries that way, but still has that Waldorf-y vibe still in there, but pushing along the sides of traditional is more your vibe. I like to show you a mixture of sciences, because science to me is just learned in so many different ways that each learner and each educator can dive into it so vastly different. So I hope that in a mixture of all the sciences that we implement, you find one or two or more that really may work for you. So thank you so much for your hanging out with me. Let me know any questions you may have. Make sure you subscribe, because there's always more to come. I'll see you guys next time.
My guitar, a dreamer on the road, no map, just